Today, I need you to embrace what comes hard. Today, I need you to accept the challenge. Today, I need you to fall in love with the process. There will be plenty of opportunities to get discouraged, to lose your passion, and think that it's not meant to be. But if you're going to reach your destiny, you have to have a made-up mind. If you give up after the first time or the 5th time or the 30th time, what that really means is you didn't want it bad enough. There should be something you're believing for, that you are relentless. You are not moved by how impossible it looks. You're not discouraged by how long it's taking. You don't give up because people told you no. Your attitude is, if I have to believe my whole life, I am not going to stop believing. I am not going to take no for an answer. I'm not going to settle for mediocrity. I'm going to keep pursuing what in my heart, and ask yourself, what do I really want? What do I really want? And write it down. Writing causes thinking. Thinking creates an image. And you get these images going, you're building a vision in your mind. It's the visionaries that change the world. Think of that. But what keeps that competitive edge, what keeps you on top, is the ability to think and prepare mentally over and over and over again. The body has limitations. The mind does not. We focus so much on what goes on from the neck down that we forget it all starts from here. Everything starts from there. If you're not mentally ready, you're never really physically prepared. And that's where the preparation starts. What would your life be like as you look toward the future? If you decided, I'm not going to allow my fears to stop me, and I'm saying to you, whatever you got to do, do it. Because if you don't, life is going to whoop you until you surrender. So when you're young and you make mistakes, don't let them eat you up. Because everybody that done made. You got to fail in order to win. Hey, look, man, to understand how to hit the game when it's shot, you got to miss the game when it's shot. You know, you got to be tough, because the road to success is always under construction. It's never a clear path to success. The people who become successful are the people who have a relentless attitude. And you just got to hang in there through the bad breaks, because the bad breaks is coming, but they usually come right before the big break is about to happen. You get a series of bad breaks and it stumbles up a lot of people. My life and my success is to say to anyone, you can stumble, you can fall, you can get back up again. No matter what you face, no matter how bad it is going to be, when there is a challenge, and by a challenge I mean anything in life, any challenge, anything that you're facing, the only way to overcome the challenges that you face is to start walking. Take that step every day. No matter what you are facing, get up and start walking. I have the ability to see the end before the beginning even begins. And what that means is I know that to get to the very end, I can see it right now. So before I went to Buds and I was losing all this weight and shit, I saw myself walking across the fucking stage at 191 pounds. That's what I had to get to get into the door. I saw myself 6 months, a year later, whatever it's going to take me to do it. I saw myself walking across that stage, getting that certificate of graduation from Buds, and I was able to be there at 300 pounds. And that feeling that I was nowhere near that feeling, I was able to put myself there 1,000,000 times every day. And that feeling of like, my God, that is going to feel amazing. That's what made me suffer. That's what allowed the pain to be real and say, this is worth it. I want to feel for this next 18 months. It took me 18 months to finally become a Navy suit, to finally, just get through butts. 18 months, it's 6 months. It took me 18. That's what woke me up every morning was, I'm going to put myself through this much pain and suffering for a few seconds. That's all it is, a few seconds of joy. It's so worth it, man. I said people don't get. So I'm able to put myself at the finish line. I have no finish line, but at the finish line of an event. Before I even start to say, how are you going to feel at the end of this? Visualizing this is my biggest tool of life. That's why I've been able to put myself in cold water, put myself in a 100-mile race millions of times before I've done it. and I'm able to go through the race and see how I'm going to feel at mile 50, almost to the exact, right? So when it comes up, it's no surprise. It's no surprise. I've already done this a million times. I recommended the last time I was here the little book, Richest Man in Babylon. And I said, I've lectured now to over 3 million people. Guess how many have actually gone and got this little book? Answer, very few. My best guess is 10%. Such an easy thing to do. This little book, number one, is easy to find. Number two, it's easy to buy. The most you can pay for it, $6, $7, $8. You can borrow that from your kids. But if it's easy to find and easy to buy, and if it's easy to read, why wouldn't everybody go get it? We don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. Here's how profound it is. Some do and some don't. Now here's the numbers. About 10% do. We don't know the mystery of that. And I'm telling you, 10 years from now, those numbers will still be the same. The numbers don't change, only the faces change. I used to belong to the 90% who couldn't be bothered even if it was easy. How many people have a library card? Answer, 3%. 97% couldn't be bothered. Guy specializes in happy hour, but he doesn't have a card, and now readily and quickly blames the government and blames his company and blames the pay scale. Here's my advice to you today. Walk away from the 97%. Don't talk like they talk. Don't go where they go. Don't act like they act. Don't specialize in what they specialize in. Throw away the blame lists they cling to. You got to be consciously conscious today because your environment can hypnotize, mesmerize, and paralyze you. The other thing is take full responsibility for your life. Oscar Wilde once said, "Responsibility is what we expect from somebody else." This is very true. Most people dread accepting responsibility. That's just a fact of life, and we can see it in operation every day. We can see ourselves getting hot under the collar when the dentist keeps us waiting, and we're sitting there reading old magazines when our appointment was 30 minutes ago. And we don't stop to think that we forgot to mail in this month's mortgage payment. We can see ourselves growing angrier and angrier because a business contact is supposed to call at noon, and here it is almost 2 o'clock. And the phone still refuses to ring. But we don't stop to think about the calls we ourselves have forgotten to return while we've been so busy fuming. We can see ourselves writing an angry letter to the airline because a flight was delayed, but we don't write an angry letter to ourselves when we're late for something, even though that might not be a bad idea at all. Yes, we can see avoidance of responsibility all the time in both our personal and professional lives. And here's something else we can see just as often. We can see that most people aren't as successful as they wish they were. Do you see there's a connection between these two very common phenomena? I certainly do. And by the end of this session, I hope you'll agree with me. I hope you'll understand that it's in your best interest to take responsibility for everything you do, but that's only the beginning. I'm also going to suggest that many times it's even best to accept responsibility for the mistakes of others, especially when you're in a managerial position or leadership role. I can hear you saying, "What? Accept responsibility for someone else's mess-ups? Why would I want to do something like that?" Well, that's a fair enough question, and over the next few minutes I'll try to answer it. One of my weak points in my personal life is I don't like technical stuff. So even though I have to be on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, I don't care for that. So guess what? I find somebody who loves to do that. I find somebody who has a strength where I have a weakness, and I partner with them. All you're trying to do is get to the goal. No one gets there by themselves. Everybody needs help. Now, when you know what you got going for you, be confident, not cocky, managing your strengths, knowing what they are, and don't let nobody talk you out of it. And that gets you fight ready. You get fight ready like that. You got to know you helps you develop your skills. all the while you're developing your strength. It's not, you just got to keep developing the strength. Don't let anybody talk to you. At the same time, you must work on improving your weaknesses. So I've had to, in spite of myself, get on Instagram, get on Twitter, get on Facebook. I got to do the videos whether I want to or not, because the world is moving to social media. If I had as many followers as Kim Kardashian, I probably wouldn't even have to do this TV show. During the years when professional basketball was just beginning to become really popular, Bill Russell, who played center for the Boston Celtics, was one of the greatest players in the Pro League. He was especially known for his rebounding and his defensive skills. But like a lot of very tall centers, Russell was never much of a free throw shooter. His free throw percentage was quite a bit below average, in fact. But this low percentage didn't really give a clear picture of Russell's ability as an athlete. And in one game, he gave a very convincing demonstration of this. It was the final game of a championship series between Boston and the Los Angeles Lakers. With about 12 seconds left to play, the Lakers were behind by 1 point, and Boston had the ball. It was obvious that the Lakers would have to foul one of Boston's players in order to get the ball back, and they chose to foul Bill Russell. This was a perfectly logical choice, since statistically, Russell was the worst free throw shooter ever on the court at that moment. If he missed the shot, the Lakers would probably get the ball back and they'd still have enough time to try to win the game. But if Russell made his first free throw, the Lakers' chances would be seriously diminished. And if he made both shots, the game would essentially be over. Bill Russell had a very peculiar style of shooting free throws. Today, no self-respecting basketball player anywhere in America would attempt it. Aside from the question of whether it's an effective way to shoot a basket, it just looked too ridiculous. Whenever he had to shoot a free throw, the 6'11" Russell would start off holding the ball in both hands about waist high. Then he'd squat down, and as he straightened up, he'd let go of the ball. It looked like he was trying to throw a bucket of dirt over a wall. But regardless of how he looked, as soon as Bill Russell was fouled, he knew the Celtics were going to win the game. He was absolutely certain of it, because in a situation like this, statistics and percentages mean nothing. There was a much more important factor at work, something that no one has found a way to express in numbers and decimal points. Simply put, Bill Russell was a player who wanted to take responsibility for the success or failure of his team. He wanted the weight on his shoulders in a situation like this. No possibility for excuses, no possibility of blaming anyone else if the game was lost, no second guessing. Bill Russell wanted the ball in his own hands and nobody else's. And like magic, even if he'd missed every free throw he'd ever shot in his life before this, he knew he was going to make this one, and that is exactly what happened. That is what virtually always happens when a man or woman accepts responsibility eagerly and with confidence. How much do you love yourself? Because if you understand the value of self-love, you'll never be friends with those type of people. Most of the people out here are running around empty. They have no sense of self, no sense of self-love. When I say self-love, it has nothing to do with celebrity, money, materialistic things, and all of the things that your negative mind could probably go to. Has nothing to do with self-love, has nothing to do with looks, nothing to do with cars and any of the superficial things that one would assume that could make you love yourself even more. It's a matter of knowing your value. It's a matter of you saying, I don't have to be around these people in these type of environments and situations in order for me to finally see the value in myself. I love me independent of you loving me. I believe in me. I know my self-worth. I am here and I have a purpose. There is no value in having wisdom, knowledge, insight, spirituality, love every day. I am a work in progress. A person who can forgive nothing is a person is totally destroyed psychologically and emotionally. Forgive your parents. Forgive any relationship that you ever had that didn't work out. Forgive everyone else in your life that has ever hurt you in any way. Forgive yourself. Forgiveness is giving up the hope that the past could be any different. I think for myself, and I know many of you, you think forgiving means accepting what has happened to you. Well, it is accepting that it has happened to you, not accepting that it was okay for it to happen. It is accepting that it has happened to you. And now what do I do about it? Forgiving is giving up the hope, not holding on, hoping, wishing that it could have been any other way than it actually was, giving up the hope that the past could be any different. And when I got that, I think it took me to the next level of being a better person, because I don't hold grudges for anything or any situation, and neither should you. It's letting go so that the past does not hold you prisoner, does not hold you hostage. See, life is cyclic. Whatever experience you're having right now, it has not come to stay. It has come to pass. Not to stay, just to pass. It's just going through. The biggest challenge is to know what's happening. This is a part of this thing we call life. This too shall pass, and maintaining perspective, putting it in perspective, you have to be willing to break from the past to have the future you so desperately desire. You have to have the courage to allow yourself to honor the past as it was, to forgive those who need to be forgiven, to forgive yourself, and to acknowledge that everything led you to this point. Now everything, let it go and begin to focus on developing myself. And I say to you, you're going to have people to do things to you. Things are going to happen to you. And the most important thing to do is to harness your will and let it go. And move so you can grow, so you can get on with your life. It doesn't matter about what happens to you. What matters is, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do now, Les? But if you want to begin to move into your own personal greatness, if you want to begin to really enjoy a happy, successful, healthy life, you've got to be willing to go against the tide. You've got to be willing to harness your will. So as you're in the process of reinventing your life, write a description of the kind of person that you want to be. What are the things that you must overcome? What qualities about your personality you know that you're going to have to change? Because those particular characteristics are liabilities to you. What are your assets? What are your strong points? Look at and evaluating yourself to make that determination. Other thing is that in order to get out of a rut, we need some coaching. Find some trusted critics, people that you know care about you and love you. There's some things that keeps us from growing and getting out of ruts. Number one, we identify. With feedback, we take it personal. When someone wants to give us some feedback on where we are falling short and tell us about our blind spots, we want to have everything being positive about us. We're not perfect. It hurts. I have a friend who's a trusted critic. I don't like him, but I love him. He doesn't tell me the things I want to hear. He'd tell me what I need to hear so I can grow. It hurts. It hurts when he put me on the hot seat. I can't stand it. But that's the only way that I can grow. And I'm glad that he loves me enough to risk our friendship to tell me what I need to hear, not what I want to hear. High performers are not dissatisfied strivers. They're not. They're happy. High performers are happier than their peers. We all believe that to get to the top, it's going to be lonely at the top, and we all believe you have to grind and kill yourself to get there. And that's completely wrong. And the data proves it worldwide, which is, I think, just overcoming a lot of people's biases about how you work today, because right now, especially today, grind on social media is so popular, or hustle. And by the way, none of the top 15% of high performers worldwide identify with those words. They literally don't. We asked them, we did a whole keyword analysis. Yep, this was actually pretty cool. And high performers explicitly say these are the 3 driving feelings. If we said there was a high performance state, it's driven from these three things. Number one, full engagement. Yes. Number two, joy. Yes. And number three, confidence. Yes. That's what they relate with. Okay. That's where it's coming from. It's a joyous state, journey, not a dissatisfied one. And I have this conversation in the book because I kind of maybe frame it this way. Each of these chapters opens with a vignette of somebody I worked with or a situation that I was in that demonstrated high performance. In this particular situation, I'm walking on a stage, thousands of people after a very famous musician was out there and was telling the audience that person's secret to success. Remember, thousands of people. Yes. Their secret to that person, their whole speech, their secret to success was never settle. Never settle. Nothing is enough. Never settle. And never be satisfied. Never be satisfied. Always demand more. And I'm like, oh, my second slide, which was going to be on jumbotrons in like 80-point text, was strive satisfied. I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to dispel this for all these thousands of people. I was totally freaked out. Yeah. But what I had to explain to people was not only the data, but it's this, if you're never satisfied, I mean, what, is it true that life is precious? If it's true that life is precious and you could be gone tomorrow, do you really want to think, you know what, I just never felt fulfilled. I never allowed myself to have a moment of credit. I never allowed myself to have a moment of peace. I never allowed myself to look at that and say, good job. That's not the way to live life. I think just at a spiritual level, it's a bad move. And this book doesn't really go into a lot of that. It's more about the science and the heart stuff. But I think it's really important that people realize your job is to strive satisfied. And if you strive satisfied more often, you will be more of a high performer. And if you never give yourself credit, you're always beating up on yourself, you're always thinking that's not perfect enough, then what's going to happen? Dissatisfied people burn out and they quit more often than satisfied strivers. So take joy in the moment, engage with what you're doing, and allow credit and satisfaction and joy to come in. You can always be improving, of course, but be proving, be improving joyfully. Yes, and if you're improving joyfully, then you're learning. You feel curious, you feel engaged, the joy is there. You'll get more confident because you're like, I'm going to learn through this anyway. This would be great because, you know, this thing is all over social media right now. Like, you know, grind, work, whatever. And I'm like, it's popular. And I see why that happens. And I see why it's catchy. It's just not scientifically valid. Stop scaring yourself. How often do you terrorize yourself with your own thoughts? You get into absolute terror and it's only coming from your thoughts. Nobody out there is doing a thing. Sometimes it's an old family pattern. Sometimes we get new things. I would like people, when you have time, to make a list of your fears. Make a list of your fears and then give yourself the opportunity to turn each fear into a positive affirmation. Turn each one into something positive and remember always you are in charge. You are always in charge. See, one idle thought doesn't make a whole lot of difference. Thoughts are like drops of water. You drop a drop of water and it doesn't mean much. But if you keep dropping and keep dropping, you get puddle on the floor. And then you can get a little pond and a lake, and finally you can create an ocean. And with our own thoughts, we can drown in a sea of negativity. Or we can float on the ocean of life, and it's up to us. The thoughts we think accumulate. And what sort of puddles are you standing in? Or are you up to here? Or are you up to here and trying to paddle? Now, what are you doing to yourself when we're willing to change our thinking? We can change our experiences. And it doesn't matter if you've got a big puddle of negative thoughts. You can move over here and create a puddle of mindfulness, positive thoughts. You can make changes always. So you want to turn those fear thoughts into positive affirmations. When we think we are unworthy, it means that for some reason we believe that we have to prove that we have a right to our space on the planet in life as we are, being who we are. And that means that we will do all manner of wonderfulness to prove we deserve to be here. And usually some of the common things are we overcommit, overgive, we overdo, we overexcuse, we overcompensate, and we stay in difficult, desperate, hurtful, harmful situations much longer than it is wise or productive to do so. Worth. What it is that you expect from the world in response to who you are is very different from value. What self-value means how you hold yourself within yourself and what you expect as a result. Now, in order to get to the worth, if you're not holding yourself within yourself as worthy, then what you expect from the world is surely gonna hurt you. This is what you're going to do. You are literally going to dump out everything that's in your head onto this piece of paper. Every concern, every worry, every to-do, everything that's bothering you that you're thinking about. For some people especially, they're just experiencing way too much pressure. And that pressure, a lot of times, it's just an imbalance in perspective. And discipline is a matter of the imposition of order. And the order is necessary, especially for people who are hopeless and nihilistic. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. Most people do it for survival. It's how we need to feed our families. We need to survive. It's our career. Okay, we have to do it. But to wake up with, my feet and my fingers tingling and say, wow, I have this to do, I've got to do today. And it's an amazing feeling, and I don't take it for granted. You're going to have a hard time thinking about all the options, and you're going to be really attached emotionally. So a lot of us know that. I can get over here, but over here, man, this is much better, because I got to go through this journey that is not fun. This from 20 to 100%, this shit in between. Discomfort is your friend. It really is like discomfort and not being happy and content with certain situations in life or certain feelings in life. There are massive, massive motivators, and they're amazing at. That's facilitating change. Everything else is second. Were the words "stay hungry, stay foolish." It was their farewell message as they signed off. Stay hungry, stay foolish. And I always wish that myself. Well, it is scary. I will always say that, especially business, because it's a very scary place to be in. It changes, it goes ups and downs, it has so many ups and downs. To be successful, you have to be able to walk away from a deal. You have to, if you want it bad enough, then people are going to give it to you at returns, If you think it sucks when it's bad, you have losing, pessimistic DNA. And if you think it's awesome and phenomenal, you have optimistic, winning DNA, and I believe that to be true. And so that's where we're at. That's why people got to understand what is in us. We have no idea until we start trying hard. Is it as enjoyable as it can be? And we all know that there's a spectrum for that enjoyability. Like, we've all had times in our life where it's not been so great, and then times in our life where everything came together, like, what a fucking great day. Woo! Like, make more of those. And the discipline part, you don't hear a lot about. That's the things people do when nobody else sees. That's when you win.